In this demo, you will get to know how to analyze backend performance test results. First, open Performance section and Backend Performance tab. And in Results section, select open the test results for the test that you want to analyze. Usually it is the last test, or maybe not last, it doesn't matter. Let's open it. The report contains from the following sections. It is aggregated statistics that represent summary, request summary visualized in graphs, summary table that contains information for every request and metrics, errors, and engine health for load generator or load generators. Depends in what mode we have running the test. CPU, memory, and load statistics, load hardware statistics, and artifacts. It is the log for this test. Let's start to view report from the beginning. So the first section, summary, it contains the information about maximum number of users, average throughput for the whole test, error rate, 95 percentile response time in milliseconds, median response time. Also in summary section we have the status, success or failed that is defined based on quality gates, duration of the test, started, ended, time and date, and test type environment, and statistics for response codes and uh, tags if we were specify the tag. We didn't have them, so this field is empty. The most interesting part it is graphical interpretation of performance metrics. We can choose the aggregation for the graph. From 1 second, it is available from 1 second up to 10 minutes. For short tests, it is like for response time tests or ramp-up tests that are usually not long, less 1 hour or about 1 hour. It is recommended to use less than 1 minute or 1 minute. But for longevity tests, you can use larger aggregation, even 10 minutes. In our case, we don't have enough data to use such aggregation, so let's use 5 seconds, let's say. Here we can choose either we want to see information for successful operations or for errors only. And here we see that we had errors only for by product user request. All other requests, they were successful, and as we can see that by product request we had both successful request and error request. It might be important for analysis. So by default we see the graph here, it is throughput responses here. For every operation we can just unselect all and choose the graph by one by one. For example, authenticate user action. It had throughput. So throughput for authenticate operation was about 0.4 requests per second, and response time on the average it was 300 milliseconds. And we can check what statistics we have in table for this operation. Authenticate throughput per second, it is about one operation. So throughput per second, we see here about 1 per second, and response time on the average also about 300 milliseconds. What we see here on the graph, and the same thing we can do for every operation. Also, it might be useful to choose several operations if they might affect to each other to correlate results. For example, if response time for one operation is growing, we can check for what operations. We can select only operations for that response time is growing and analyze them accordingly. The next, also here we can choose either request or transactions if we would have transactions here. Right now we have only request, so this field isn't available in drop down. Next up for the graph is this average response. It is aggregated metric for for all user operations. Uh, It is not very useful graph to assess performance of your system because it is important to analyze response time and throughput of every request rather than aggregated graph for all requests. But anyway, it can be useful to track the trend from the test to the test, how response time, average response time is changing with the time. The next graph, it is also aggregated, it is throughput. Throughput per aggregation as well. If you are interested in 1 minute, then throughput 300 requests per minute. Also, we have a time picker that can be used to limit time range for the graph. Let's specify as a aggregation and choose any period of the test. For example, only if we are interested only in stable period without ramp up. Yes, let's do it this way. Or we want to analyze some periods without spikes. For example, responses, we can choose any operation. And for example, we want to see statistics only for the graph authenticate without spike. Here it is as well spike, but it is different spike, yes. So the idea is clear, I think. Another section that is very important and very convenient, it is analytics. Analytics section contains more detailed metrics. It is throughput users percentile 90, 95, 99, minimum, median, maximum response time errors, information by error codes, by code errors, sorry. The conveniency of analytics sections that you can specify either a group of any metrics, for example, let's choose throughput, uh, percentile 95, for either for all operations or for some of them only. Click apply. It shouldn't be reflected in this way. Maybe took some, yeah, it was some like a back for time picker, but if we select time picker, it should work, yes, and it works. Something happened. So, and we can specify either some group of metrics for some limited amount of operations or for all operations. It can specify, for example, for other group of operations, um, other metrics. Let's say we are interested in throughput and median response time, for example. Um, what metrics for what operations you will decide to choose, it will depend on the goal you want to reach, what graphs you want to correlate, and what result you want to get. After graphs are visualized, we can select using checkbox here and leave on the graphs that we want to see. So it was analytics section. Summary table. It contains information for the uh, total amount of operations for the whole test for every user action, throughput per second, errors count. Here we see that only by product was had errors, half of operations. Minimum response time in milliseconds, median percentile 95, and maximum. We can sort this table by the metric that we want to sort. Errors table contains the table with errors, with URL against that this error happened, response code, error message. Also, we can expand and to see response body, request params for this request method. And also, we can expand this text field to see the text. And also, we have information for hardware statistics for load generators. It is engine health. We have statistics for load for one load generator or for several load generators. Right now we had only one, so we have statistics only for one. Also, we can choose looks like this filter is still in progress, but it is we can use these checkboxes to select the metrics that we want to reflect on the graph. CPU, here we see that 9% of CPU was used by our load generator. Memory, 600 megabytes for heap memory, because if you unselect, then it will be heap, and for non-heap, 50 megabytes. And last section, it is artifact, it is Jmeter log after the test. This log can be opened in any text editor and read. Yeah, so it is usual Jmeter log. If it will be Gatling, it will be Gatling log. It might be useful in case if something went wrong and you want to understand what. At that point, we are finishing our demo, how to analyze backend performance test results. Thank you for watching this video.